Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Panic Uncracked. I'm your host, Chris Panic, and you are watching one middle-aged man's journey into madness as I sit here and talk to myself in front of a video. So we're going to do something interesting, something a little different, and it doesn't seem fitting to have the Titus mat up. But unfortunately, this is going to be about Spider-Man, and I don't have Spider-Man, so we're going to pop up the Terra mat here. So we're going to go through a little bit of a blast of the past for me, blast from the past, and I figured having my, adolescent crush Terra being the forefront and the centerpiece here of my video, and watch as I set up my borders so I know exactly how much space I have to do everything that I'm trying to do. So if you didn't notice or haven't watched enough of my videos, I am very unscripted, very unhinged, not as crazy as I'd like to make myself sound to be, but still, I am not a professional. I don't do any pre or post effects. I do this live and in person by myself. I am in my apartment talking to myself right now. It is absolutely hilarious. And let's wait, because it's now spooky season and we're going to do some spooky videos eventually. So today's highlight's going to be this bad boy, Spider-Man, the collector box. I am not anticipating much of a hit at all. If you have not been paying attention to what's going on with Spider-Man and Magic the Gathering, I wouldn't say it's bad. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's okay. But yeah, the collector boxes, as you know, went up to around $1,000 some. Now they're back down to normal expected price range. And I don't know, take it however you would like. I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to complain about Universes Beyond right now. I mean, I obviously am enjoying the Final Fantasy stuff, if you couldn't tell, because you're staring at Terra. But part of what I was going to do here, and I'm also kind of regretting this because I pulled this out of the dustbin, but I was going to show off some other things that I have, including, you ever seen one of these? Fleer Ultra Spider-Man binder. I cannot remember where I got this from. I ordered it maybe from Mile High Comics or something else from back in the 90s when the set came out. I bought a ton of these cards. I bought this binder, and I still have it, like 1995. If you couldn't tell, I'm old. That's the end of the story there. But I figured, we're going to go through my youth here with the Terra playmat. We did Final Fantasy videos before, and I was going to showcase some of the cards in here just because, why not, This binder was made to go with the Fleer Ultra Spider-Man card set. If you didn't notice, they were kind of like cards painted by a lot of artists, famous artists. I mean, I'm going to ramble as much as I can, but there's some famous artists that some people might know. I don't remember the names off the top, so I'd have to go through all the cards here. But I figured I'd showcase some of these just to show some of the characters that we have for Spider-Man. And, it's kind of interesting because one of the things that made me think about this was, you have some random characters here like the Beetle, who has a card in the Spider-Man set. Of course, you have other ones who people know. Annex isn't there. Answer's not there. The Burglar's kind of there. This card, it's kind of a little sticky in here. A lot of these cards have not come out of this binder and these sleeves ever since I put them in there. So I'm almost regretting. Oh, I actually did pull out pretty well. So here's the Burglar. Gold stamped cards with a little bit of details on the origin, first appearance, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know if it actually mentions the first appearance, but, as you can see, it gives you some details on the origin of the Burglar. But yeah, just some old stuff that's in my collection here, and this is almost a complete set. So we'll skim through here. Calypso was not in there. Carnage had a card. Carrion did not. Shocker. Chameleon had a card. Chance did not. Chance who was in a comic that had Venom's first appearance. Demogoblin, I kind of would have liked to see. But there's a lot of random characters in here. A lot of them that did not get a card. Hammerhead, notably, did not get a card in the Spider-Man set, although he is represented in your traditional character, Mob Enforcer's card, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to slide this back in here. But yeah, I just wanted to skim through here and just kind of showcase it. Like, I'm not going to talk about which characters I would have liked to have seen in there, although, like, I mean, the Man-Wolf here. The Man-Wolf probably could have been a cool, like, transform card, you know, if they decided to go with it. But instead, we just got a John Jonah Jameson card as a regular character. It's quite a bit of characters in here. Even Kane had a card in the set, but I stopped following comic books after, I don't know, like mostly the Clone Saga. That's when I really stopped buying Spider-Man comics. I started at Maximum Carnage a little bit before then, but that was when I really started having a lot of books. Obviously, the Clone Saga and Spider-Man soured the Spider-Man series. Kane, you know, one of the clones of Spider-Man, managed to kill Doc Ock, had a unique appearance and everything, had the Mark of Kane, which, you know, kind of just like the stickiness of Spider-Man's hand, but you do it over somebody's face and you kill him. Man, just looking at some of this with the 90s comic book art too, I mean, like the Nocturne, you know, you can't get away with this kind of stuff nowadays, but as a man, I was grateful for some of this as a pubescent kid. The Mary Jane here. This is where my video is going to go off the rails. We got the Prowler here, Mysterio. Some of the characters were in the set, some were not. Shriek actually had a card in the Spider-Man set, which I thought was interesting, and I wanted to pull this. This is the one where I really thought it'd be fun to show. But Stegron was a legitimate character in Spider-Man. Stegron was not something that's just like, what the heck is this? Yes, it does the origin, powers, and the comic universe details. In the first appearance, I believe. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm getting this wrong. I'm doing this all off the cuff here. But yeah, I just wanted to showcase like an old collection I had. I've had this since I was a kid. I left it when I moved out of my hometown, and it somehow managed to stay intact, and I mailed it to myself to where I live now, which I'm not going to tell you because I don't need anybody coming to my door, as if anybody's watching my videos anyway. All right, I definitely did adjust my camera and mess with things a little bit, so my borders are off. But yeah, like, still kind of stoked to have this. I figured I'd show it off just to prove that I had like a cool collection. Hey, look at the Swarm here. You know, who actually, of all the characters, like, it's interesting he got one set, but, you know, ain't gonna complain much. Tombstone's obviously there. Tarantula noticeably missing. I'm glad they did not do the modern Vulture, the modern looking Vulture. Kept the classic. So these were the characters. Then of course you have some of the I could probably finish this collection off if I really wanted to. This here is the Legacy section. You had the Kraven side. I'm really surprised I don't have all of them. It does showcase what's supposed to be here. You got the Kraven Hunter, the Chameleon, and Kraven's son, the Grim Hunter. I can't remember his name. Vladimir Kravenov. Probably pronounced it wrong. Kravenov. Correct me if, you know, because I'm totally wrong here. Man, this thing is so old. 1995. That was just 10 years ago, right? The Carrion, the Spider Clone, and the Jackal Legacy, which we kind of talked about, the Clone Saga of Spider-Man. Of course, you also have the Spider Slayers, who were kind of represented in some kind of degree in the set. Let's move this back without trying to mess my camera up, but, you know, there's the Spider Slayer Legacy. Then, of course, you have the good old Hobgoblin Legacy. The Hobgoblin, a lot of details in his backstory and everything. But yeah, Jack-o'-lantern, Hobgoblin. Jack-o'-lantern, eventually, I can't remember his name, but he became the modern Hobgoblin after the whole saga of, like, Ned Leeds and, can't remember the other guy's name. Jason Macendale, that was his name. He used to be the Jack-o'-lantern, and then he became the Hobgoblin. And then, of course, you have the Demogoblin backstory. I'm not going to get all into it. Kingpin Legacy with the Schemer and Blood Rose. And Kingpin's actually not even in. That's interesting. Kingpin's not in the set, but I guess it's cool. Oh boy, interesting. Like, this is supposed to be about magic, but here we go talking about Spider-Man, and here I'm just tapping my camera. No big deal. The Green Goblin legacy. You got Norman Osborn. You know, everybody knows. Almost everybody. You kind of know the story about Norman Osborn and Green Goblin, and then of course Harry Osborn. Then of course there was also a story in the Spider-Man saga where Spider-Man, Peter Parker's parents came back, but they actually just turned out they were agents of Shield in the comics. But they came back and it turned out they were totally fake and like robots, you know, schemed by the Green Goblin. Then, of course, the legacy of the alien costume. Very interesting art on these cards, too. It looks just like clay. I can't quite tell if this was actually a painting or if this was just like a clay molding here. But you got the alien costume into the Venom, into the Carnage. You got the origin of Spider-Man, followed by the death of Gwen Stacy, and then the alien costume saga. Okay, so this is the end of the legacy section. Then we have milestones, origin of Spider-Man, death of Gwen Stacy, the alien costume saga, the wedding of Spider-Man and Mary Jane, which is represented here off camera. Can't quite see it. Yeah, my camera is definitely a little off center, so I'm gonna have to refix everything after I ramble about my Spider-Man cards here. I figure I'd pull this one out too. Oh, the Cosmic Spider-Man. Yeah, but this is the one I really wanted to showcase too. Kraven's Last Hunt. I really enjoyed this storyline, this story arc here. So let's read the milestone here. Years of defeat had taken their toll on Kraven the Hunter's sanity, and he became obsessed with beating Spider-Man and taking his place. Kraven drugged Peter, buried him alive, and began masquerading as Spider-Man, brutalizing the criminals he caught. It took Peter weeks to dig out of the grave that Kraven had placed him in, but Peter was cheated of his revenge when the Hunter took his own life. Very, very deep storyline there. An all-time classic. Going into some more of the milestones here, we got the Maximum Carnage card. Pursuit, which was an interesting story. It also involved Kraven the Hunter, but the Kraven, his little bit of a descent into madness and everything, and the trauma and the pain that he dealt with all of that. I'm not going to get into it. Power Responsibility, which I don't remember what this is. I mean, it seems familiar. I should know this, but I'm old now. Oh, the Spider Clone, the Return. There's Judas Traveler there. Blah blah blah. Let's put this back. Let's pretend that never happened. Oh yeah, and that's the trial of Peter Parker. Okay. The Exile Returns. The clone. Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider. The Web of Life. Can't remember a lot of the details of this one, but it definitely involved Kraven's son and Kane. And then, of course, Web of Death. And if you didn't know, Kane eventually killed Dr. Octopus, the original Dr. Octopus in comics. This was like around the cusp when deaths were starting to matter less because, you know, they would just bring the characters back. Smoke and Mirrors, which was the original saga for the Jackal and the clones. Death of Parker, Aunt May, when she finally passed. And then what's the next set here? We got the Venom Flows. We got Carnage. We got Daredevil here. Darkhawk. Demogoblin. The Female Symbiote. The Jury. Oh my God. Mace. Morbius. Can you see? He can't really tell, but yeah, Morbius. Silver Sable. And Vengeance with Ghost Rider. And then team-ups. Team-ups with the Beast. Oh, the good old Black Cat here. Let's scroll that down. Beautiful art. She was a beautiful character. Black Widow, Captain America, Daredevil, Deathlock, Doctor Strange, Falcon, Gambit. You know, stuff you can't see because it's off camera. Down at the bottom here, stupid lighting. Yes, I'm not quite pro here. If I start getting a little bit more successful, maybe I'll start pulling things together. But yeah, you know, it's interesting looking at some of the art for some of these cards too and thinking how things change, especially like if you didn't know, like, you know, Samuel L. Jackson became Nick Fury, but this is what Nick Fury kind of looked like in the comics. Scarlet Witch down here. Do you see that? Look at that. Interesting art from the Punisher. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, dude. And the memories that are coming up. Silver Sable. Then we, of course, have his, you know, team-ups with his allies. I have another missing card here. If you could, you know, obviously, I did mention I have most all these cards, but it's just a few missing to be a complete set. But they had a really cool series in here in the set. It was like the Carnage postcards, and it's basically just him, you know, all around the world. Statue of Liberty, you know, his message to Spider-Man here. You know, I'm not going to read it. What we're going to do is we're going to side into... I did organize these the way they should have been. Actually, there might be something really cool at the near the end once I start getting through here a little bit more. But here's more of the Carnages. The Liberty Bell, the Lincoln Memorial, Graceland, the Alamo. I mean, look at this art. The Alamo. I got to pull these cards out. The Alamo, Hollywood sign on fire, which is... I live in California. It's not really much of a joke because that stuff happens all the time. San Francisco here. Mount Rushmore. Wrigley Field. Coney Island. Oh boy. Like this was kind of fun. The Carnage cards. And at the end, they had the section of... what do they call it? Arachnophobias. But they kind of just did a mashup. Oh. Hey. So my camera's like broken. I'm not going to edit. I think you just seen some of my mess of cards that I'm still sorting out. But they did a mix of, was it the Rhino and Puma? Doppelganger and Shocker. Carnage and Kingpin. Some of these were silly. The Lizard and Mysterio. Vulture and Vermin. And what I was wondering is, I swear I think at the end of this, I have one of these checklist cards that actually... is filled in with everything that I do have. And then of course you had the special versions, and this is okay. So I remember like Boris Vallejo, and I think Jolie Bell was his wife. They were famous artists. Yep, Jolie Bell right there with the Hobgoblin. If you can't tell, there you go. But yeah, the Golden Web special foil cards they had here, and here's even more of them. Well, incomplete. I didn't get all of them. You know, these were the rarities of the set here. We got a Lizard, Carnage, Spider-Man. I don't know how much value is in any of these, but yeah, I just figured I'd showcase some of these cards just to show off what I have. Wait, do I have a couple of these? Wow, dude. Wow. I have not gone through this in quite a while. But here's a close-up of one of the masterpieces from the set. You know, it's almost the equivalent of getting like a borderless foil or extended art card in Magic the Gathering. Limited edition 4 of 9. 4 of 9 doesn't mean there's only 9 of these cards in existence. It means that, you know, Spider-Man's like 4 of 9, while, say, this Venom here is probably something else. I gotta put this back in somehow. I did organize everything as if like I was going to have a complete set, but I just never quite got to it. So many memories are coming up about this, but you know, then we have the Venom one here, but then we also had these Clear Chronicles, which were from the Spider-Man cartoon. Dude, like this is getting really hard. Doc Ock, Green Goblin, these are transparent. I'm not going to really try to showcase too much because I still got more to go through. You know, these are more of them. And then, you know, special hollows. Can you even see what's going on here? All right. I think we got the point here. And then, of course, they keep going. There's Iron Man and Juggernaut up here. And then we get into the gold stamped cards, which I also had quite a bit of a collection of. I'm just going to skim through these real quick. Yes, this is where my allowance went when I was a kid. I should have bought Magic the Gathering, some Alpha Beta, you know, all that stuff, you know. But no, I bought this crap. And I regret nothing. But yeah, not much to really showcase back here. And here's my checklists, which I tried to showcase what I had. So from... this one was for the non-foil, or the non-gold stamped cards. I was just missing the Kraven and Chameleon from the Legacies. Had everything else. And then going back here, Unlikely Allies had everything. Oh, missing the Venom Flows Carnage. What else am I missing? The Unlikely Allies Venom. And then getting into the Golden Web cards, missing a few of those. Missing a few masterpieces. And Clear Chrome and Holoblast, missing some of those. And I also ran a checklist of the gold stamped cards that I had as well. So this is tracking those. Maybe one day, maybe I'll look it up, but I can probably complete this collection, but I don't know. I'd love to give this away to, like, you know, one of my kids or something like that, if I had kids. I don't. But yeah, I wanted to showcase this before I started getting into the nitty-gritty of Magic the Gathering. But wait, there's more. So that was my Fleer Ultra Spider-Man box. I did not have the original binder I had from another set of Spider-Man cards, but I do have a new one I got from my friend's dad, his collection, when I was helping him get rid of it. This was one of my favorite, like, okay, number one, Mark Bagley was probably my favorite Spider-Man artist. He did a lot of the stuff from the 90s, including around the first appearance of Carnage, from the Amazing Spider-Man runs. But we had these cards. What were they? What was this set? 1994 Fleer Spider-Man. I can't remember. But yeah, these cards were great. They did advertisements of these in comic books. That's where this came from. Do you see the little rivets here? These would have been inside of some comics at the time, kind of promote these cards. But I loved this set. I actually had near complete set of this. And I wanted to showcase these because, I mean, there's not much really that crazy to note, but a lot of characters, if you couldn't tell, there's a lot of characters in Spider-Man. Spider-Lizard wasn't in there. The Clone, of course, was. But you see, these are like panoramic. They kind of make up a whole scene, you know, all 9 cards whenever they fit. I know they kind of did that with the scene box for Spider-Man, but, you know, I kind of wish, like, they could have had something cool like this for the Magic set where, you know, some of the cards just kind of lined up and made, you know, a bit of a scene. That Sandstorm looks like he's way out of place here. I'm just missing a couple here. And missing a couple here. I wish I had, like, something I could showcase, like a whole set. This was obviously the big one. This is Black Cat's out of place here. Actually, this might be almost complete. I think it's just out of sort. This was not my original collection, but yeah, I wanted to showcase these because all these were from the Mark Bagley art. My favorite artist from Spider-Man, and yeah, that's about it. These are really cool, all the stories in Spider-Man. All right. That's not why you're watching this video. You're watching this video probably to see if I pull anything. Actually, even more funny is you're probably watching this video because you actually know me and I've asked you to watch my videos. Well, okay, disclaimer, I have never actually asked anybody to watch my videos, but I have showcased them. All right, but yeah, that's a little bit of the history I have with Spider-Man. I showed you my original Fleer Ultra Spider-Man cards from the 90s and, you know, the other set that I definitely adored a lot. All right, let's get back to it. This is what you all want to see, right? The Spider-Man collector box. I'm not going to lie, I did buy this off Amazon. Got it for MSRP, which, whatever that is, you know, decent price. I paid about the same that I paid for most other Universes Beyond sets, minus Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was the exception to the rule. But like, say, Lord of the Rings, I paid about the same price as, you know, this. All right, let's get into it. I'm not expecting the world. There will be probably no Soulstone here. I did pull a Soulstone from my Play Booster box opening. I'm not anticipating getting anything super cool out of this. I might just try to track, you know, the Mark Bagley cards if I get them, but that might be about it. All right. No, you know what? I can't do this. Not over Tara's face. My high school crush right there. Because, you know, I was one of those sad boys. All right. Let's get this train rolling here. No pull tab on this, which is interesting. So we're just going to do this the old school way. And we're already like about a half hour through this video, so it's time to start moving. All right, commons. There's the Beetle. The Tombstone card, which we talked about. Come on. Camera, let's go. There we go. Oh, Hammerhead, my bad. I'm getting it all wrong. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, the Brooklyn Visionary. Camera is kind of losing a bit of focus here. I'm gonna figure it out. Spider-Girl, Web Warriors, Spider, Penny Parker. All this stuff's blurry. Why is this blurry? I think it's because of... I think it is. It's the face here. It's the face. All right. Penny Parker, Ezekiel Sims, the Spider Totem. And these are the commons, uncommons. Just set those up here. Yeah, we're going to have to cover our face, whatever. Behind the webbed forest, we got ourselves Craven the Hunter. Let's get that showcased here. Rocket-powered Goblin Glider. Silk Web Weaver. Relentless Assault, featuring Prowler and Miles Morales. You know, obviously a family affair there. And we got a rare of the Shadow of the Goblin. And at the very end of this, we have ourselves. Let's get these going up here. Let's put the commons off the camera because nobody's going to care that much. We'll just keep the piles kind of like this and just go from there. And an art card. This is Peter Parker. Okay. All right, let's move into the next pack. I feel like I'm rusty at this. I haven't done it in a while. I'm so rusty that my camera's like just off center and just not working. Hey, guy in the chair, just like me. The Gravestone, Research Team, Rabble, Spider Clone, Twisted Spider Clone, Web Shooters. Good thing is they're commons and commons. And speaking of, okay, we just went over this, but Scarlet Spider's Kane. This obviously was, from a future series of comics that I'm not that familiar with, but Kane obviously looks entirely different than he was, and he's also referred to as the Scarlet Spider. I don't know the history of that, but, I showed you the Flair Ultra card, what Kane used to look like. Okay, Superior Foes, some of the not-so-sinister six. Craven Proud Hunter, and then we got a Webbed Swamp here. And behind that, we got a Superior Spider-Man, then Borderless Hydra-Man, Fluid Felon, followed by full art Miles Morales. I'll put that aside for one of the hits. Mystic Confluence, which is featuring the original art from Secret Wars, blah, 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 whatever number, the first appearance of the black suit. And behind there, we have ourselves a foil extended art Oscorp Industries and the treasure token. And behind there, just a spider. I was kind of curious if the token was going to have the robot, which was kind of reflective of the Spider Slayers. All right. Next pack here. Kapow. This is going to get reprinted when they do the Batman Universes Beyond. You know it. If you've seen the Adam West Batman, you know what I'm talking about. Skyward Spider. This card's so good and limited. The Fairy, Spider-Man No More, classic storyline. Spider Islanders, something I'm not familiar with. Alien Symbiosis, Prison Break, Lila, the holographic assistant, the Prowler, the Clawed Thief, and then we're going into the mountain here, and behind this mountain we have ourselves a foil Multiversal Passage, followed by Peter Parker's Camera, followed by a Tangle that's foil that we'll get to, the Scene Box Green Goblin Nemesis. We'll set that there. Yeah, I'll keep some of the special stuff there. We got the Tangle here. Foil version of it too, which is kind of cool. And Lady Octopus Inspired Inventor. It's just interesting. Lady Octopus, she was, I believe, from the Miles Morales run. Once again, I'm not going to act like I know, but I'm making some kind of educated guesses. But interesting about Lady Octopus is when Kane killed the original Dr. Octopus, not too long after that happened, they debuted a new Dr. Octopus who was also a female, but it was not this Dr. Octopus. It was a totally different one. How does it all make sense? I don't know. Comics didn't really make sense. It's kind of why everything went the way they did. Like Marvel was going bankrupt, struggling to pay their bills, sold the rights to Spider-Man to Sony, Fantastic Four and X-Men to Fox, all that stuff. They got stuck with the Avengers, and they made it work for the MCU. Disney bought everything, you know, kind of brought it back to where it is now. Comics are still cool, you know. I hope like more kids are getting into them. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best here. All right, City Pigeon, obviously All-Star Unlimited, Venom, Evil Unleashed, Robbie Robertson, Betsy Brandt, Doc Ock, Common. You know, it's cool. It's whatever. Slayer bots. I mean, I'm not too familiar with it. Costume Closet. I just did a draft, and this was a powerhouse. Madame Web. Let's not talk about that one. Supportive Parents, which would be Miles Morales, which is interesting. Miles Morales had parents, but Peter Parker's worked on. It was whatever. Spider Bite, and then a forest. Behind the forest, we have ourselves. Rent is due. Oh my god. All right. And then behind that, we got Spider-Woman, Stunning Savior, and one of the multiple versions of Spider-Punk here. For extended, whatever. Feed the Swarm for our comic showcase. Oh, and I'm digging this one. I'm definitely digging this one. I'm not making sense with these piles. Maximum Carnage, which you heard me mention, I started reading comics in the Maximum Carnage series. I never finished it. I think the last issue was Spider-Man Unlimited #2. That was the one that I didn't finish with the story, and I will get to it. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video of me reading that, and it's going to be the most amazing thing ever. I don't show my face, so you're just going to sit here and look at this, and I'm just going to read, and it's going to be quiet. All right. Ooh, and I'm going to set that there because it's kind of special to me. And we got Doc Ock, gold stamped, Master Planner. I don't know if there's any value in these gold stamped cards. If you couldn't tell, I think I have enough gold stamped Spider-Man cards. So I'm not going to say that's a bad pull or matters that much, but it doesn't matter to me. All right, Evolving Wilds, blah, blah, blah. You know, another version of it. Venomized Cat, Starling Aerial Ally, Spider Manifestation. It's interesting how many of these cards were not in those cards I showcased earlier here. Flying Octopus, Robotics Mastery, Mendelstrom. I can't remember what he was from, but I should remember. All right, Living Brain, Web Warriors, and then the Island. We got ourselves an Island, and behind here we got Silk, Mysterio, which it's not a terrible card, but kind of wish. I feels like they could have done more with Mysterio. I can't say I would know what, but I would have loved to have a Mysterio commander that does a little bit more than create a 3/3 token that's nearly a copy. Oh, and here we go. This is kind of cool. I don't know where I want to put this Mysterio. We'll just pop him here. Carnage, the comic art, borderless, whatever. I didn't really look to see what the name of these are, but the comic inspired art card. That's kind of cool. I'm digging it. Keep my little Carnage pile there. Iron Spider, Civil Warrior. If you didn't know, from the Civil War series of comics, Iron Spider was also kind of featured in Avengers Endgame, or no, Infinity War. But yeah, Civil War, big series in the comics. Actually, funny enough, I read comics up until a little bit after the Clone Saga resolved, and I just fell out of it. It was, I think it was Onslaught that got me out of it. Then adulting, not broke, poor, all that stuff. But then the Civil War comic series was being announced, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting, and it got me back into comics for a little bit. We'll pop that there. But then Ultimate Green Goblin. I remember the Ultimate Comics, and that's where Miles Morales came from. I always thought it was kind of laughable that they made the Green Goblin an actual monster. It's whatever. No judgment, no hate. Oh, Treasure and the Human Citizen. Okay, I was looking for that Spider Slayer. All right, let's keep going through these packs here because this is becoming a long video, and I've got other stuff to do because I'm an adult. I wish things were the way they were. Had tons of time. Common Crook, Spider-Man, Guy in the Chair, Gravestone, Amateur Hero. Oh boy, Morbius. The Hobgoblin, which still wish he got better card treatment. This card's not terrible, but I still wish he had a little bit more to him. And then you're right. The quote here, from the flavor text, goes into the origin of Hobgoblin, who, there was a whole ordeal about it before Mackendale became the main goblin in the 90s. But yeah, you see here, it's like, oh, who's behind the mask this time? Kingsley, or is it Ned Leeds? Who knows? Madame Web, we'll skip that. Costume closet. The planes looks kind of cool, with the circular design here. All right, let's move on. Amazing Alliance, followed by Craven Hunter Borderless, Interdimensional Web Watch, good old Ponder. Oh, and I am liking this hit here. This will go into some other special pile here, but we got ourselves Extended Art, Anti-Venom Horrifying Healer. He debuted post me reading comics, but I know this is a very powerful card, so we are going to set that with Miles Morales here. And Craven the Hunter, full art card. It's interesting, like, a lot of the full art cards, I don't know. I did like some of them from the main in-universe sets, but with Final Fantasy and Spider-Man, I'm enjoying the art cards a lot more. Not that I'm really doing anything with them, but Merciless Enforcers, Romantic Rendezvous, Mysterious Phantasm, the Hot Dog Cart, Alchemax, The Living Brain, it looks like a repeat, Mary Jane, The Rising Star, Secret Identity, and Penny Parker, Spider, piloted by Penny. And hey, look at that, we got a full art foil basic land. All right, behind there we got Hydra Man, Fluid Felon, Extended Art Villainous Wrath, Sensational Spider-Man, Goblin Bombardment, John Romita art, of course. Actually, I don't know if I'm trying to pay attention, but I'm looking for some Bagley art, but I don't think I've seen any yet. Hope it would stand out to me, but, of course, like the Steve Ditko, John Romita, that stuff really stands out. Goblin Bombardment, you think it'd be named something else, but it's not. It totally fits, too. Bioorganic Carapace, I think... It always makes me think it's Silvermane, but I know there's some other character to it. And, one of the Spider-Man full art cards. All right, let's keep going. We're going to go power hour here. Pick 2 draft style. Pick 2 draft speed. Let's go. Scorpion Sting, Premium Removal, Kapow, Kersplash, Skyward Spider, The Fairy, Sinister Hideout, Wraith, Scarlet Spider Kane again, Morbius, Harry Osborn, the Green Goblin Revenant, and behind that we got Forest, followed by Moreland, the Devourer of Spiders, Borderless or Extended Art Electro. If you know, you know. Electro is one of the quite a powerful card in set. Venom, the Deadly Devourer it's in the scene box. Traumatized, pretty neat. I like what they did here, but yeah, the classic from the comics. Pop that there. Spider-Man 2099. Oh my god, this 2099 stuff. Hey, and there's a Spider Slayer. Finally, we got one. Another thematic robot built specifically to kill me. I'm flattered. All right, let's pop that there. Tokens. All right, so far, I don't know. I'm not doing any kind of counting on value or whatever. I'm doing this just for entertainment's sake and boosting my collection. I'm probably not going to do any more of them. Hey, look, we got a Mysterio token here. Going back to John Jonah Jameson from, when we talked about the Man-Wolf. Could have been an interesting, when this creature leaves the battlefield, return it transformed as a werewolf, but that'd probably be a little too much. Doc Ock's Henchman, the Masked Meower, Lurking Lizards, the Inner Demon Gangsters, Wisecrack, decent, really good removal spell, the Spot's Portal, Pictures of Spider-Man, Heroes Hangout, and then we got Planes, followed by Foil Norman Osborn. And behind him, we got the Green Goblin, one of the greatest villains of Spider-Man. So much that he's done. And he was the culprit of... It was his fault the whole clone thing happened. Yeah, it was such a convoluted storyline. Spider Sense, pretty decent card. Hide on the Ceiling, Savage Beating with the Todd McFarlane art. Definitely a little bit of special there. Spider-Woman, the Stunning Savior, followed by a Spider token with the Mysterio. All right, we are down to the last 3 packs. Let's power through this. So yeah, this is the Spider-Man box I'm doing. Maybe I'll do a play booster, maybe not. I don't know. I still have one more Final Fantasy that I could crack, maybe by popular demand. We'll see. And as usual, I don't show myself. I don't try to ask you all to do anything. If anybody's watching, I make that joke. People do watch my videos, but you know, I might I sell these on the side. These will be listed on my web stores wherever they may be. I don't pop them up there. I'm trying to avoid any kind of problems with I don't know, legal stuff, whatever. I guess I'm thinking about everything too hard. Spider-Man Noir, that was the first one we've seen. But yeah, I might start doing that now, especially because where the card prices are at nowadays. But yeah, a lot of these will end up for sale. Behind the Swamp, we have Doc Ock's Tentacles, followed by Parker Luck, Arana, the Heart of the Spider, The Path to Exile, more John Romita, and Foil, Mysterio, Master of Illusion, and Dr. Octopus, Master Planner, art card. All right, last 2 packs. Let's go. Let's see what we get here. Spider-Man No More, Spider Islanders, Common Crook, Spider-Man Web Slinger, Amateur Hero, Shriek. You know, interesting. She got a card in the set. You know, Prowler, Misguided Mentor, Spider-Man Noir, yet another one. Wall Crawl, and then an island. Behind the island, we got Shadow the Goblin, which we've seen. The Spot, Living Portal, Mr. Negative. Oh, beautiful. All right, I'm loving this. Saw in Half, obviously great card in Commander. But this is like from the original Hobgoblin storyline. I think this was his first appearance. Like, this is from his first appearance, but I remember this book came with a tattoo. I had multiple versions of it when I had my comic collection at its peak. I am really stoked on this one. I said it there. And then Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, you know, who turned out to be the actual clone. You know, that whole thing happened. Last pack. Let's see what we get here. Ideally, something from Mark Bagley, but I can't remember if he did art for these. I should have paid more attention. Hey, Silvermane, not a legendary card. Thwip, Whoosh, Stegron was a real villain. Scorpion Sting, Craven, the Proud Hunter, Superior Foes, the Hobgoblin, yet again, Scorpion, the Seething Striker, and the last showcase stuff we got here. Behind the Mountain, we got Spider-Man 2099, followed by Multiversal Passage, Borderless, Mr. Negative, Master Weaver, and Foil Gwen Stacy. Not a bad hit, not bad. No complaints on my side here. All right, well, that is my Spider-Man collector booster box. Did I make my money back? Probably not. You know, I lose money, so you don't have to. I mean, it's not like you're opening any of these or buying any of this stuff anyway, so if anybody's there, hello? All right, cool. Well, I'm not going to complain much, but it was fun going down memory lane, going through and showcasing some of the cards that I have and the collections and stuff. Not that anybody's going to care a whole lot, but yeah. All right. Well, without further ado, I think that's going to be the end of the video. Right before the 45-minute mark. Going to be a long one, so hopefully you don't have ADHD too bad if you're watching. All right. Thanks, everybody. Until next time.